If all your assumptions become reality, then assume that I can drink a margarita. Will you serve me a margarita? So I drank a margarita.
Okay guys, you can't convert a boomer. This is really important. You can't convert them. The time it takes you to convert one boomer, you will have converted 50 Zoomers. In this video, I will tell you exactly why a boomer hates to be confronted with the truth. Why he is rejecting the truth. We have to start at the beginning. I use the term boomer very loosely. A boomer is usually a person born between 1946 and 64. However, many younger people are also boomers in the way that they think. They adopted the boomer framework that was established by the victors after World War II. This framework is extremely important and has very strict rules. A punk boomer is a punk within the rules of the framework. An atheist boomer is an atheist within the rules of the framework. It's hard to describe the boomer in a few sentences, but his overall way of living is characterized by denying genetic differences. Being oblivious to Marxist groups controlling media and institutions and being constantly afraid of being called a Nazi or a racist. There are many other characteristics of a boomer, but those are the most important. A political debate between boomers often results in a screaming battle in which each side calls the other side Nazi while both use token black people and token migrants to show that their side is righteous. This debate is played out in a frame that the small Marxist elite which is controlling the media has set up. A boomer can and will never leave the frame of media people. He knows his limits. Pointing out genetic differences is off the table. The debate is won by characterizing someone as Nazi or the real Nazi. Example, Trump boomer will say wants no affirmative action or DEI. Then Harris boomer will call him a Nazi. Trump boomer will then counter with arguing that she thinks black people need affirmative action, making her the real Nazi. Both arguments are perfectly within the Marxist frame that being racist is evil. Because they never question the underlying assumption that people are in fact genetically different, with some being higher in intelligence, for example. Now, imagine you are on another planet. You travel through space and land on Earth. You meet all of those people for the first time. You have no emotional connection to anyone. Why would you believe even for a second that Swedish people and people living in jungle of Melanesia are somehow completely identical? It's an absurd and unscientific concept. It's a religious belief more than an observation based in reality. So you come from space, see all of those people for the first time. You walk up to a boomer and tell him, just from observing this planet for 30 seconds, I figured out that genetical, cultural and territorial separation have led to people evolving vastly different in all kinds of ways. Would you agree with that observation? And a boomer will say, no. He will not agree that people are different. He might agree that different dog breeds have different traits, but certainly not humans. Because the boomer knows his frame. He has internalized his thought prison. He will die in his thought prison. It's not only the fear of being called a racist, it's his whole identity that he sees collapsing. All his boomer friends that share the same set of beliefs. His parents that always told him that everyone was equal. All the little media people that repeated the lie in every Hollywood movie ever made. All of the times he won arguments against people by calling them Nazis. He would have to question his whole identity. A sane person would look at the data for 0.5 seconds and think, oh, seems like the human species has evolved exactly like every other species on Earth in the last 7 billion years. But the boomer can never accept that. He is too far gone. He wants to make this emotional. Now he is calling you evil because that's what the little media people always told him. He doesn't believe in God necessarily, but he certainly believes in good and evil. He might be an atheist, he might be an anti-nathalist or even a Satanist, but whatever he is, it's not as evil as you. He might tell you that nothing matters, but 1 second later freaks out if he hears you mentioning genetic differences. Do you understand his frame? He can have no beliefs at all. He can be a fat overweight Reddit mod wearing a t-shirt with the slogan "Don't talk to me, I hate people," but as soon as you leaving the "we are all equal" frame he goes off like a rocket. A boomer can watch a documentary about space or the deep sea for 8 hours because he's such a science-loving guy, but as soon as you mention the genetic component of intelligence or looks he gets mad. The boomer isn't always an old man. It's more of a concept. If life is a video game, the boomer would be one of the enemies that span all over the place. They are like low-level enemies, directed by the much more rarely appearing little media people. A younger Zoomer or a member of Generation Alpha is much easier to convert. Let's say he lived for 18 years. Maybe he has been politically interested for the last 3 years. Went from liberalism to libertarianism or whatever. You can be like, hey, have you ever noticed that they don't want to have open borders in Israel? And he might think about it. He hasn't built a life of the foundation that everyone is perfectly equal. Boomers will say that they have to protect young impressionable people from propaganda, when it was the boomers that were fed the worst propaganda of all time. The Zoomers at least can hear both sides and decide for themselves. I was fed the Marxist bullshit for years, and the moment I saw the truth on the internet, it was all destroyed within a day. That's why they need censorship. Another cope some very old boomers have is thinking that something was good because they were happy. For example, a former coworker whose family fled from communism often said that communism wasn't bad because he remembers playing soccer with his brother or having his first kiss. Of course, all of these things have nothing to do with communism, but he remembers being young and that makes him nostalgic. This is very common with many things, I have talked about it in other videos. Boomers sometimes went to hippie events and had a good time. Those events are of course associated with leftist politics, but it's really just music and drugs. All those emotions and positive reinforcements are the reason they won't let go off their beliefs even if it's scientifically proven false. It's like a Christian believing in evolution despite being faced with hard evidence.